Hello and welcome to the Ellen Made Book Club and this summer reading wrap-up. The last reading wrap-up I did was for the month of June and then sort of half of July. And this video is going to be about the books that I've read during the rest of July and in August and maybe the beginning of September as well. We'll see how long it gets and how much I have to say about all of the books. Let's start with one that I didn't read, and that was The Coin by Yasmin Zaher. This was a book that I listened to on audiobook, but I thought that I had heard either Simon at Savage Reads or Ben at Ben Reads Good talk about it and say that they liked it. But then after I had read the parts that I had read, Ben mentioned it again as like in a not the most positive way. And so I was like, I thought you liked that. That was why I picked it up. But I don't think that he liked it very much, and neither did I. I got about 70% through the book, and it's not very long at all. So, you know, if I've gotten 70% through it, I do want to finish a book to see, you know, so that I don't miss anything. But I just could not. It's pitched as this woman who is trying to get coin, basically, and she's like trying to figure out life and how to get money, and she's a teacher, and it says in the premise that she sort of involves her students in this like fake bag, like Birkin bag scheme. And I thought that sounded really interesting. And then there's also like the immigrant experience. She's from Palestine, and the author is also a Palestinian author, so I was like looking forward to reading something about that. But this like bag scheme was sort of the selling point for me and like what made me want to read it, because that sounded like fun, and it just never got to that. Or I think it just started to get to that point at like 70% through the book, and everything before that was just cleaning supplies and cleaning, and also clothes and like what they wore, and sort of stealing clothes in some like, you know, in the found bin at a restaurant. Like, yeah, I thought I lost my hat here, and then, oh, is this your hat? Yeah, it's my hat. And so they stole it, and it was so boring. I really wanted to like it, but I didn't. And if something happens toward the end of that book that I missed and that you think saves it, if you have read it, please let me know and I might try to finish it. But no, that was not for me. Another book that I didn't finish that I also really wanted to like was Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. And I think I'm just not in a fantasy kind of mood, or like, I don't care. I don't care about the fantasy world, and I don't know. I didn't care about the monsters and saving the world and whatever. I didn't connect to any of it at all. I think I got about 50% through that. I had a physical copy from the library, and I also listened to the audiobook, and so I would switch back and forth, or I would do both at the same time, and I didn't care. And I think I was missing some sort of tension between the real world and this like fantasy world, you know, keeping this secret and like being in the fantasy world and like doing all these battles and like trying to defeat these monsters, and then also going to a college. Like, don't you have class ever? Like, don't you meet people there who are wondering why you're not coming to their parties, or like, you know, like, but there was none of that, or like very little of that. I was intrigued by the whole mystery about her mother and, you know, that aspect, but it was not enough for me, and I didn't care about the fantasy stuff. So I found myself like trying to push through, and I don't want to do that. I just know that it's such a well-loved series and I really wanted to love it, but it's not for me at this time, so I didn't want to continue. A book that I did finish was Havoc by Christopher Bollen, which I thought was a lot of fun. This was a book that I had on my want to read list, and then I saw Caitlin at Spill the Reads read it and love it, and she was raving about it and saying how good it was, and so that made me want to pick it up sooner, and I did, and yeah, I really enjoyed that one. It wasn't like a 5-star for me. It didn't hit like as hard. It wasn't my favorite of the year, but I thought it was really good, so it's like a 4.5 kind of star. I don't really give half stars, but like it's a decent, like it's a good, it's a 4-star read for me. I thought it was great. It's this older woman and she is at a hotel in Cairo in Egypt. I think it's in Cairo, and she is a meddler. Like she gets involved in people's lives and she tries to fix their lives as she sees it. Like she has this idea of what other people's lives should be like and she meddles to make it so. So there's this mother with her like 8-year-old son who check into the hotel and she starts to like befriend them, and then she has ideas about what changes should be done. She has a little scheme going on, but then this young boy turns out to also be a bit of a meddler, and they get into a bit of a duel, and it's a very interesting time. It is a very entertaining story, and there are a lot of very vivid characters that play into all of this, and yeah, I thought it was very well done. And there's also some depth to it, and that sort of builds. Like it starts out as kind of a fun time, and then, you know, as things go on, we get more of a full picture. And yeah, I thought it was great. It was enjoyable, and also, yeah, had a bit of a punch to it. So yeah, that's one that I would highly recommend. And that was also on audiobook. I also read The House on Mango Street by Sandra Cisneros, and it's like been on my radar for a long time, and now I decided to pick it up for August, which is a reading event that went on in August about reading young adult fiction and nonfiction. That was hosted by Mariandrea at Books and Bocadillos and by Suey at Suey's Book Banter. But yeah, that was a book that I had wanted to read for a long time, and I finally did. I got a copy from the library, and it was a very quick read. It's not very long, and like the font was very big in my copy, so yeah, it was a very quick read. And it's in sort of little vignettes, I guess, about a girl, a Latina girl living in some kind of a city. I don't know if it's New York or like Chicago or something. I can't remember. But yeah, it's just a little glimpse into daily life and like the immigrant experience and family and friendships and coming of age and all of those things. I thought it was good. I wasn't blown away by it, but I also think that, you know, it's not a book for me. For me, it's just like a little peek into someone else's life. And I think that if that's closer to your own life experience, I think it will hit a lot harder. But I enjoyed it, and I see why it's so loved by so many readers, and especially young readers. And yeah, I'm very glad I finally got to read it. I had planned to read it in Spanish, but I decided to not do that and just read it in English. But yeah, I really enjoyed that one as well. And then also for August, I decided to finally try the Heartstopper series by Alice Oseman. And I have now read volume 3, so I've read the first 3 volumes. I'm loving this so far, and I will definitely keep reading volume 4 and 5. We follow Nick and Charlie, who meet at school and fall in love, and we follow their relationship and all of the stuff that comes up in adolescence, I guess, and like with friends and family and their relationship and coming out and all of those kinds of things. It's really cute. It's really like heartwarming and happy, and also like emotional, and yeah, it's just really cute. And I am very glad I finally read this. I know this is a very popular series, and I very much understand why. I think it's fantastic that these exist. I think that they would be very helpful for someone in this age going through similar things, and just people in general to get a better understanding of what it might be like. And these are graphic novels, by the way, in case you're not familiar. And this is a Swedish translation. I was really surprised when I like opened volume 2, and I was like, why is this in black and white? The first one wasn't in black and white. And then I looked in the first volume, and of course that was also in black and white, but I had just like, it was just so vivid to me, so I didn't think about, like, I saw it in color even though it's black and white, so I don't know, I think that's a good sign. But then I also decided to read another graphic novel, which was also for August, because this is a young adult historical fiction graphic novel, and that is Displacement by Kiku Hughes. And this is in color, like the artwork in this is stunning. It was such a pleasure to read, like it's just so, there are no like, you know, lines around the square, it's just, they're just like color blocks, and then you get these like full page things, and I don't know, it was just, I think it's gorgeous. I love the colors and I love the style of it, and the story is very good too, and it's a very important story. It is about incarceration camps for Japanese Americans during World War II in the United States, like on the West Coast. We follow this girl who is thrown back in time to these incarceration camps where her grandmother was, and so she sees what happened to her grandmother and to people in general, like in these camps, and yeah, she just learned a lot about that. And there are also parallels drawn to current day and what's going on in the United States now. The format of a graphic novel makes it very approachable and like easy to get into the story and the subject matter, even though it's a difficult read in that sense. But yeah, I liked this a lot, easy 5 stars, and I would highly recommend this one as well. And then I also wanted to try some young adult horror, because I'm dipping my toes into horror and I'm still a bit of a scaredy cat, so I feel like YA horror is a good way to like try things out and see what kinds of horror I might like before it gets too scary. So I picked up So Witches We Became by Jill Baguchinsky. This is explained as a take on The Mist by Stephen King, which I have not read. I haven't read anything by Stephen King because I was always too scared. This follows a group of teenagers as they go to this island of no storms. They're just there to like hang out with their group of friends. And then there's an older brother who comes with them as like a chaperone kind of thing, to keep them safe. It's a group of girls going. And then when they get to this island, there's this sticky, like tarry fog thing that sort of blocks the way on and off the island. There's this like bridge or like a thing that you can drive onto the island on, so like a bridge. And so they are stuck on this island, and this like creepy fog thing just keeps getting closer and closer. It's set off the coast of Florida, so there's, you know, talk about hurricanes and storms and stuff like that, and this is the island of no storms, and so there's something mysterious about this island. And then there are also some other people showing up at this island, and things get a bit dark. The main character is a girl called Nell, and she has this shadow that creeps out of the darkness sometimes, and she has to play music to keep it calm. There's a bit of a backstory to that shadow, and if you are sensitive to things, I would suggest checking content warnings for this book. Yeah, there's some things that happened in her life that she is dealing with, and that all come into play in this story as well. As tender as it is terrifying, So Witches We Became is a queer feminist horror about female friendship, the emotional aftermath of surviving assault, and how to find power in the shadows of your past. It was creepy, but not too scary. It had some depth to it, and yeah, I thought it was really good. And then for August, I also read 2 YA thrillers, and like one of them might have been in September, but I don't know, I picked them up because of August, so I'm counting them towards that. And the first one was The Goldens by Lauren Wilson. And this was a new release that I listened to on audiobook, and I thought it was a great time. Let me look up these people's names because I cannot remember. We're following Chloe, who goes to university, I think, or like college, a new school setting. And she has one friend there, and she also moves into this like dorm where the girls are kind of bitchy and not very nice to her. And then she meets another girl, and she makes friends with this girl called Clara, who is a social media influencer person, and she's also from a very wealthy family. She lives alone in this like mansion because her parents are very rich and they're off, you know, traveling the world or something. And so yeah, she just has this huge mansion all to herself where she can host these infamous parties. And so yeah, Chloe and Clara become friends, and eventually Clara asks Chloe to move in to this mansion so that she doesn't have to live in this dorm with the not so nice girls. So she can come live with Clara. And yeah, then it sort of builds from there, and there's more parties and more people, and there are also these like rumors starting about Clara and about things that she has, you know, allegedly done in her past. And so we're trying to figure out what the truth of that is and who can be trusted and stuff like that. And yeah, some bad things start to happen. I thought it was, yeah, not the most unique and maybe a bit predictable, but still entertaining and a good time. And I enjoyed listening to the audiobook. It was a fun time. And I guess the same goes for the other YA thriller that I decided to try. I've heard such good things about this from pretty much everyone who has read it. Mimi at It's Mimi Duong and Chelsea at Libraries and Lattes buddy read this whole series because they just binged it all. And I read the first book, so that is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And I read this in like 2 days, which is very fast for me. It's very fast paced. It's very plot driven. The chapters are short. It's mysterious and a bit creepy. So you want to keep reading to know what's going to happen. And yeah, it's just a very easy read. And I definitely want to continue the series. I thought it was a really good time. And it was nice to get through a book pretty fast and have a book that I just like wanted to pick up to see what happens, because sometimes I have to kind of like convince myself to pick up a book, and then once I'm in it I enjoy it, but like my brain doesn't think that. But this one was like, yeah, I'm gonna have a good time reading that, so let's go and read and see what happens. So yeah, this is a perfect book for a reading slump, I think, to like get yourself back into a reading mood. We're following Cassie, who is like 17, I think, and she is contacted by the FBI on like the first page, the first chapter, which is like 2 pages, which I really appreciate. We're just like jumping straight in and getting started with the story. She's contacted by the FBI and asked to join this group of naturals, which is a group of kids who have these natural abilities to read people and read emotions, and one is really good with numbers and yeah, stuff like that. So like they're not fantastical magical skills, they're just naturally good at certain things, which can be very helpful in solving cold cases. So that's what they're there to do. And then there's this serial killer on the loose, and so that is also a part of the story. And yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. It's very intriguing, very fast-paced, very easy to read, very plot-driven, so not a lot of like depth, but there still is some. There's a little bit of a romance situation going on as well, and also like the criminal investigation stuff going on, and like the FBI people, and yeah, things like that. I'm not sure this is a 5-star for me, like it is in terms of the page turniness of it. Like it was a very good time. I didn't love how it wrapped up, but that's my personal preference. And yeah, I'm still intrigued to see what's going to be coming in the next books. So yeah, I'm very glad I read this. August was also Women in Translation month, so I wanted to read something for that, and I decided to read The Old Woman with the Knife by Gu Byeong-mo, or it was picked for me my TBR jar. And this is translated by Chi Young Kim. This is a Korean novel, and we follow a woman who is 65 years old called Hornclaw, or she calls herself Hornclaw. She is a contract killer who is considering retirement. We get to know Hornclaw and her past and how she came to be in this business in the first place. And yeah, I don't know how to explain the plot, or I don't even know if there was much of a plot. There was action and like there are things happening. I just can't really put it into words. I don't know if it will be for everyone, but I really liked it. I think I gave it 4 stars, but I'm also struggling to explain what happened or like why I liked it. It was a good time. Yeah, I think that's all I can say about it. I read it and I enjoyed it and I would recommend it, but I can't guarantee that you'll love it. But yeah, I'm really glad I read this. And then I also listened to Crooked Seeds by Karen Jennings on audiobook. And that was a weird time. I think it's good, but it was not very enjoyable. But I don't think the point is not for it to be enjoyable. This is a South African novel, and it's set in sort of present day Cape Town, I think. And we're following a woman called Deirdre, they said on the audiobook. I don't know if that's like a South African accent or like version of the name. I would have said Deirdre, but they said Deirdre, I think, on the audiobook. Anyways, she is living in this like worn down housing complex thing with other people who have been like relocated there. And their old like family home has been reclaimed by the government. And there's also a drought, so there are fires and there's a water shortage, and like everyone has to go stand in line to get their water. Deirdre was also in an accident where she lost her leg, or like below the knee, I think. So she has that as an extra challenge during all of this. And then she's contacted by the police, and they say that they have found some remains at their old family home, and they have some questions for Deirdre about her brother, because they are suspecting him and like accusing him of having been part of a like pro-apartheid group in the 90s and having been involved in some bad stuff and like making bombs and things. We're following Deirdre in her like everyday life, and as all of this is going on, and like the drought and the housing complex and like her struggles as a person with a disability, and then also this like investigation, and we get glimpses from her past and from her family, and it's very dark and very gross and kind of depressing, but I think that's the point. So in terms of like star ratings, it's a 3, but it's also really good. Like it's very good at what it does, but it doesn't make for a very enjoyable read, if that makes sense. And if you're looking for like a murder mystery and like something exciting and thrilling, this is not that. Crooked Seeds is depressing and gross and dark, but I also think that it does that really well. So like if that's what you're in the mood for, I would highly recommend. And if you don't like that kind of thing, then stay far away from this book. I'm currently in the middle of a few books. I'm still reading The Break by Katharina Vermette, and I'm still on page 45. I haven't read anything more in this than I had when I did my September TBR jar video, but I do want to continue it. I think that I stopped because like there are a lot of different POVs in this, and it's a crime investigation, and yeah, I think it's going to be really good, but it was a lot to get into. And I also started Her Many Faces by Nikki Cloak on audiobook, which I'm like halfway through, and that also has a different perspectives. And it's also like a crime investigation, so they felt very similar, and I couldn't keep them apart, so I decided to put a pause on this because it was a bit more tricky to get into. But I'm really enjoying Her Many Faces so far. I'm also maybe 2/3 of the way through Oil on Water by Helon Habila, and this is also sort of a crime investigation, but it's kind of slow paced. It's not very long at all. This is one that I'm reading for Shorty September, and I am enjoying it, but it's also a bit depressing and like dark, and not a lot happens, and it's not a fun time, but I'm wanting to finish it, and I think it's good. It's just a bit slower. And then I also picked up a short story collection, which is Heart Lamp by Banu Mushtaq. This is a short story collection by an Indian author, and it's translated by, let's see, Deepa Bhashti. I have only read the first story in this, but I really enjoyed that. It just looks, I just feel intelligent holding up a book like this. I don't know, something about it just feels very quality of mind. I really enjoyed the first story, so I look forward to reading the rest of these. I think that's all I have on the go for now, and I think that's enough for one video because I've been talking for a long time. Let me know if you have read and enjoyed or disliked, or you know, whatever your thoughts were on any of these books, or if you're interested to pick any of them up. I would love to hear that. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.